A power of attorney is the right to act on behalf of someone else. And generally, there's two kinds. You have a financial power of attorney, and then you have just about everything else, which I can't really think of right now. The main thing that comes to mind is the financial power of attorney, making sure that you can transact business, take care of things on behalf of someone else. Um, if you want to get that done at a bank, I was just talking to someone about that a week or two ago. Sometimes the bank has their own power of attorney forms that you have to get signed and notarized in order to make sure that they're uh, recognized by the bank. Um, but it's a way that you can become an authorized signer to transact business on behalf of someone else's account. Um, it's similar in a way to that of being a representative payee for someone receiving Social Security benefits. Basically, you will be accountable to the court. You would still
Yeah.
be accountable in law because you essentially have a fiduciary duty of stewardship and accountability for the persons whose funds you're managing. So, got to make sure you got someone who's you actually trust to manage your affairs. The fourth one, which is so important, is medical directives. Now, medical directives, this is the Terry Schiavo thing, which now has become uh, such an older story now. But Terry Schiavo, I forgot how long she was in the hospital. I think it was years.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't remember now.
but this is a story like 20 years ago, and no
Yeah, it
one
was
had.
a long time ago. I was pretty young when people were talking about this.
Okay, we're not that much different in age here, my friend. Okay, but anyway, but Terry Schiavo, she was hospitalized for quite a long time, but there was no medical directives on file for anyone to be able to have the authority to go ahead and say pull the plug. And so, and without those directives, the hospital, whoever's in charge of their care, has to do everything they can to keep you alive. So that's part of that. It's making sure that your wishes are known. And believe me, I do not want to be trapped inside my own body, for as long as my body's alive, my mind isn't. Like, no, 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 just or my body's dead and my mind's alive, even worse. Um, no one wants that. So having your medical directives is very important. And by the way, I think that almost every hospital, especially before a planned surgery, right? So if something is planned, they're going to have you fill that out. Now, it's really to protect the hospital, but it's also to make sure that they have fresh instructions right there on file to know who to talk to. Now, what's also interesting about all this is that when you turn 18, you may still be a child in your parents' eyes, but that does not mean that the hospital or anybody else gets to tell your parents about your medical situation. There's HIPAA laws and all that stuff in place. So if you don't have that for your college age children, and I'm saying this as someone who has not done this for my kids, my daughter's going to be 22 this year. I got to get this thing done just in case. But the thing is that I also recognize that the hospitals do not have to tell me what's going on. They don't have to tell me her condition because they don't have to. But if you have this stuff done in advance and you can and show proof of identity and everything else, then they can actually tell us what's going on. But it's important to plan for that in advance. So in case for stuff that's planned, that's easy enough. Stuff that isn't planned, your adult kid gets into a car accident and they're taken over to the emergency room, but they're 19 years old. They don't have to tell you anything. Now, they probably will. I mean, it's kind of rare that they wouldn't, but still, it's better to have the documents in place than not. So I think that pretty much covers all of my notes here.